This stuff here, Yerushalmi Shabbos, in the article Oz V'Adishim at the top of Pei Beis Amav, Halacha Hey, in the Mishnah, and that in the Vilna on the bottom Samach Vav on base. Hazami Emily Abasha, somebody who tosses something from the sea to the land, which is from a Carmelish to a Shus Arabim, or vice versa, Yerushalmi. Umayam Sfina from the sea to a boat, which is Shus Yachid, and vice versa, it's Yam. I mean, the Sfina Charaverta, and from a boat to another boat, Potter is exempt. Sfinas kishur zu bezu metalim zu. If you have boats which are tied to each other, you can carry from one to the other. You have to, of course, make an eruv if they belong to more than one person. If they're tied together, you can carry from one to the other. If they're not tied together, even though they are surrounded by some sort of enclosure, you're not supposed to carry from one to the other. So the reason is because there's going to be a airspace, since they can float freely, there's an airspace of a carmelis between the two of them, so you shouldn't carry from one to the other through the carmelis, which is going to inevitably emerge when they're not tied together. Okay, so says Gemara, Abba Baruch Ravuna Mar B'Kshus Begemi. Even if they're tied together with Gemi. Now, I've always translated Gemi as hemp, but I've actually looked it up today because I felt it's probably the wrong translation. And Gemi is, in fact, a bulrush, or a papyrus bulrush, according to some versions. I think there are many types of bulrushes, but bulrushes are very fibrous. So a Gemi is a fiber made from bulrushes, which evidently is not the strongest rope in the world. So nevertheless, that's considered to be, it's very flexible. So nevertheless, it's that's considered to be sufficient to connect them together for the purpose of carrying from one to the other. Of course, they have to make an air between them. There is no gap between the two of them of the 4 tefachim, which would be a carmelis. So carmelis has to have 4 tefachim. The other said, even if it has a gap of 4 tefachim between the two boats, it's still considered to be valid as long as they're tied together. We don't know mana mardo, which who said what? I mean, Madam Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yaakov, Rabbi Zavtia, Rabbi Chia, B'Shem Rabbi Elazar, from that which they said, a few engvos asora. They said even if the boats are not 10 tefachim high, they are not. In other words, they're not a separate rishus unto themselves. Nevertheless, you are allowed to carry from them when they are tied together. Heavy do Omar b'shemenim rochav arba. So Korban explains, Reishu Omar b'shemenim rochav arba. There can be a gap of 4 tefachim. Dibi arba, if you have 4 tefachim between them, ve'enam gavos, so they're not 10 tefachim high. V'adei avle rishuyos mechulakos. They're certainly considered to be distinct rishuyos. Ukekarmelis hi mashabeneim. And what's between them is karmelis. Shem metatlim mokum rochav arba lamata me'asora. You're carrying a place which is 4 tefachim wide, where there's no walls of 10 tefachim around it. So around it, that's for sure a carmelis. So even though they're making with the boats themselves, despite the fact that they're less than 10 tefachim high, they're not making with carmelis in between. If it's 4 tefachim, which would be 4 tefachim, minimum 4 tefachim. Now, having boy meimar, so I wanted to say man b'shein b'neim rochav arba. The make sure don't have 4 tefachim in between. After the goes to Sarah, the lenient, even the boats are not themselves 10 tefachim high. They're not rishus yachid. Man the margvos asara. He holds that the boats are 10 tefachim high. Afilu yesh be'em rochav arba. Even if there's 4 tefachim of gap, which constitute carmelis between them. Now, why is that? Because the carrying itself is going to be above the level of the carmelis, and the carmelis is only until 10 tefachim. If the boats themselves are more than 10 tefachim high, so you're carrying from boat to boat, that's above the area of the carmelis. So therefore, the fact that there's a carmelis below doesn't bother us. So that's again, since we're carrying above that. So way the Korban explains, we should call the comments. So lochashmi karkis amayim, the 10 tefachim are not from the bottom of the river or wherever the boats are. Elamei avir shagabi amayim, but from the airspace on top of the water, meschim dora. So the boats themselves have to be 10 tefachim above the water surface, and that way. Even there's 4 tefachim between, and it's a constant between, it doesn't matter because everything is happening above 10 tefachim, above the water, above the level of the Carmelis, and therefore it's not a problem. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda says, Im hoisa amuka min hamayim yud tefachim, ve'eno gavoa min hamayim asar tefachim. If you have the inside of the boat, I wonder if the article actually has a picture here. It's 10 tefachim, but even though it's, I drew a picture of my Gemara, but let me see if the article has a picture. It does not. So I'll show you the picture of my Gemara, which I drew. Hopefully it'll be clear. There are 10 tefachim inside the cavity of the boat. There aren't 10 tefachim on the outside of the boat because the boat is displacing water. So the walls themselves are less than 10 tefachim above the water, but the inside of the boat is 10 tefachim. Okay? So, again, if it's deeper from the water, 10 tefachim, in other words, the internal cavity of the boat is 10 tefachim, but it's not 10 tefachim higher than the water surface. So you can carry from in it into the sea, because you're going less than 10 tefachim, because the walls when you're going out, there's no 10 tefachim. So that's okay. But not from the sea into it. So the Korban is helpfully elaborates that a bit. He says, you can like throw sewage over the side. Not from the sea into it. You can't use from the sea through the over the walls into it. If you fill up something and spill it into the over the walls of the boat, it's going to the deck of the boat. And that's going from a Carmelis to Rishus HaYachid. So the Einam, they're saying 10 tefachim deep, the Einam Mukha Asar, he gufa Carmelis. If it's not 10 tefachim deep, it itself is a Carmelis. And then Metaltel Lehed Yamina Yom Letocha, you can go from the sea into it, just like you go from it into the sea. It's interesting though what he adds on here. But Ein Gava Asar Nami Dafka Nokat. Not Gava Asar, also specific. The Gava Asar, if it's 10 tefachim high, Mutter Talta Min Hayam Letocha, you can take from the sea into it. The Mekarmelis Rishus HaYachid Derech Makam P'tur comes out though. Because when you're going over the wall, you're going over a Makam P'tur. So it could be Malam Asara. Right? So Afagad the Rishus, the Raisa, Rishus arriving in Rishus HaYachid, Mechai Gav, the Rishus, going from Rishus HaRishus to Rishus HaYachid through a Makam P'tur without stopping, you're Chayav. But Karmelis Rabbanan Lo Gazu. Then we're going to our Karmelis to the Rabbanan. So even going out from the boat into the sea, we're going to see it's not so simple. It wasn't. It shouldn't be much because it's going to a Carmelis, right? Even though it's okay, the walls are less than 10 tefachim high vis-a-vis the outside, but still it should be also okay. The Gemara is going to discuss that, so we're going to come to that. The Rabbi Avo, my Rabbi Yochanan boy, Rabbi Avo said, Rabbi Yochanan asked, Lama mitochel yamuter. Why from it into the sea is mutter? Because the wall is not 10 tefachim high relative to the surface of the water. In Kani, if that's the case, it's also from the outside to the inside. The wall is not gavua asara. So what do we care that the inside is 10 tefachim deep? So okay, that's because it's 10 tefachim deep on the inside, right? In Kenya, I feel Mutachayam. And it's supposed to be also the other way. If you take account of what the relative height on the inside, so then it should be also to go from inside to outside. So mimanavshach. If because of the outside, it's less than 10 tefachim between the surface of the water and the top of the wall, it's okay. So then it should be mutzah both ways. And if it's because the inside, it's more than 10 tefachim to the deck inside, so it should be also both ways. Why one way yes and the other way not? So the Gemara says, Rabbi Avun said, the lama mitochayam mutter. So taka, why is the mutter go from it into the sea? Mivnei sakana, because sakana. In other words, to get rid of the sewage. Because our matir on Shabbos to get rid of the sewage, even though it should be usher, because he writes it's the inside sent for deep. So therefore, it's going from Shus Yachid to Karmelis, and Shus Yachid to Karmelis is usher. Nevertheless, Chazal said, okay, in this case, where the outside is less than 10 tefachim from the surface of the sea to the top of the wall, we're making Mnei Sakana. Okay, so we're asked, Sela Shabayam, Gavos HaTefachim, if you have a rock in the sea, which is 10 tefachim high, you can't carry from it to the sea, nor from the sea into it. Pachas mikam mutter, but less than 10 tefachim, it's mutter. So, ma bein sela, ma bein sfina. What's in between the rock and the boat? I remember saying before, according to Korban Eidah, that if the boat is 10 tefachim higher than the sea, for sure it's okay, because you're going through a Makam tour, right? So now, why can't you say the same thing by the Sela, that you can toss things off the Sela into the sea? Just going to toss things off the boat into the sea, toss things off the Sela into the sea, especially Shofchin, right? It's a rock. It's a small place. It's not an island. It's a rock. So just so be able to toss the Shofchin, the sewage, off, right? Over the side. It's going to a Makam tour. They allow it in the boat. Why are they allowed on the rock? Maybe not. I understand on land we don't allow it. In this island we're not going to allow it. But the rock, why don't we allow it? So Gemara says an interesting thing. Gemara says, Sfina, ma ben sela, ma ben sfina. What's the between the sela and the sfina? Sfina olav yoredes. A boat goes up and down. Sela bin koimahi. So a boat is in its place. So there are many possible interpretations of this line. I wanted to say the interpretation's line is that by a boat, the extra weight of the sewage causes it to be unstable, and it's going to go up and down. It's dangerous, as opposed to rock, where it's stable. So therefore, we only allow you to toss the sewage off of the boat, but not off of the rock, because there are no stability problems. The Lev Yerushalmi brings down a parish that a boat, since it's not stationary in one place, it's already it's mechitzas and achoshiv to say they go up to say gudasik mechitzah, that they go up to the shamayim, and therefore above the 10 tefachim it's going to be a makam tour. But by selah mekoimai, but the selah is kavua, and they would say rishus yachid's oil rakia, so you're taking directly from rishus yachid to a karmelis. You're not going to no makam tour above 10 tefachim. Many other interpretations in this Shakla V'Tari here. The article has a different interpretation that's really going on. Sounds like it's going on. The quick questions are when it's Pachas Me'asara. But the Yerushalmi Kipshuta gives an interesting interpretation. He says, the question is why by a boat you can be metalto on the boat more than Beis Asayim. It's not going to be the Karpov and the Sela. It's going to be a Beis Asayim. Not allowed to be done more Beis Asayim. It's going to be a Karpov. But in any event, I think the pshat we gave is the pshat we gave are adequate. The two interpretation possibilities, my pshat and the Lev Yerushalmi pshat. And let's go on. At this point, the next question is definitely about a Beis Asayim here. So the question is, the low Karmelis about the assumption is that the Karmelis is the rock is a Karmelis. And if you looked in the Gilui Nashas, that's how the Gilui Nashas explains it. He says it's a little bit out of order. This should have been later on, this Gemara. He says here, We're going to read the shots inside. V'lu mistafina havamina the irbu dvarim yeshkan. There's confusion here. Hach v'lo karmas yitzchaklis lamata. That's be later on. Sim divrei Yerushalmi. Abeis Hasaim. When it talks about Abeis Hasaim. Find the action. It's asking how the pachas mikayim metal and Abeis Hasaim. If it's less than, if it's less than, if the rock is less than 10 tefachim high, so then you're allowed to carry up to Abeis Hasaim. It's a karpav, so you're allowed to carry more than Abeis Hasaim, but the Abeis Hasaim you can carry. So that's more why you can carry Abeis Hasaim. It's not, it doesn't have walls. But low karmelis, it's a karmelis. Klu mutzah tatu karmelis el adal ramas. Go carry for ramas. I can carry the entire rock. Zebashan Reb Ila Rosha. So he says the hach metaltin ba Abeis Hasaim lokai at sefer. That can carry Abeis Hasaim. It's not going to the sefer, and where the walls less than 10 tefachim high. The bottom can have a karmelis. You're right. In that case, the wall's less than 12 high. It's a karmelis. You can't carry more than 4 amos. El aresha. That's going on the resha. But gavasar, when it's 10 high. Tahavi v'shus hayachid. There's just yachid. Dosa tal mitochel yam. You can't carry from it into the sea. Ava bitocha on the rock. Metaltin b'kuli you can carry in the entire thing. On the entire rock. Vadkama. How much? Abeis Hasaim. Up to Abeis Hasaim, mishum lo mukaf ladira. It's not because it's not mukaf ladira. If it's more than Abeis Hasaim, the whole thing's going to be a karpav, and again, you can't carry more than 4 amos. But it's up to Abeis Hasaim. It's not a karpav. It's going to be mukaf ladira, and there. Well, it's not the mukaf ladira. It's Abeis Hasaim. They have to carry in the entire thing. It says v'zui kushas d'shas b'vavli erevin, and the tiritz rava. The Resha and Shami do Lashu Shami Kare La Resha Rasha Sefer so far. Okay, so similar to the Shakavatay in the Bible. The Shakavatay in the Gemara then. So if low karmelis he is not a karmelis, Klumuta Tau Karmelis Arbamos. If it's lower than 10 Tvachim, Arbaila Resha, that will have to carry the entire rock is going to Resha. Sefer Selashib Yam Gavoa Sartocha Em Tal Mitocha Yam Lo Yam Mitocha, but on the entire rock you can carry. So yes, Mikan. There's yes Mikan explains Shas if it's more than Abeis Hasaim, then Nasa Kemechitza, Nasa is Kemechitza, Shemehukva Zraim, then the rock becomes like a mechitza, which is surrounding an area which is planted, which is called a karpaf, where you can't carry more than 4 hours. It's like I say Mukaf Ladira, Shemutalta Ba Elabar Amos. You're not carry more than 4 amos in that area. Because Mikan, if it's less than 10 Tvachim high, then the whole thing is karmelis to carry from it to the sea and from the sea it to it. Now this Metalim Abeis Hasaim, according to the Gina Shas, is out of place. It's really going on what we said before. Raibun Barchia asks on this case where the rock is lower than 10 Tvachim. So Miata Shnei Karmelis Smuchu Zuluzu Metalim Zuluzu. You should be evidently allowed to carry from one karmelis to another karmelis. The karmelis of the boat, of the rock, to the karmelis of the sea. So, no, I am a kifa, because tzad, fascinating idea. Since the sea surrounds this island, this rock on all sides, so therefore, as if it's all one karmelis, not 2 karmelises next to each other. So, giving a shot is interesting in this as well. I had Simon Shin Memvav see Beis and Gimel the Mati Tatim Karmelis a Karmelis. Lad guy from Karmelis another Karmelis. Right time a custom base Yosef Simon Shin Hey B'Shem Orchos Chaim from Masham Siv Gimel. Hoche Sfinas Chulei Abi Shchavim Arba V'Chulei Abu Shami the Eiser Kan the Shami which asks L'Tal Tel Ken Ayam Akiva Kol Tzad. So this is the Yerushalmi argues on that halacha and Shulchan Aruch. We're going to have a nafkamina, as he says, coming up with what Yerushalmi is answers with a neser, as we shall see. The Ravi Nuna says neser shupach l'chutz sfina. If you have a board which is coming outside of the boat, v'ein bo rocha barba, and it's less than 4 tefachim. Mutalei sheba, you're allowed to sit on it. Last spot tzarcha b'Shabbos, and do what you need to on Shabbos. So let's see, Pnei Moshe. Uh, uh, he says, even it's not 4 tvachim wide, allowed to sit because of a karmelis dayam me'ar the chashvinon. He holds the karmelis of the sea is from the seabed. And the airspace above 10 is a makom tour, and therefore you're allowed to do stuff on that top, even though it's more than 4 tvachim. But the Korban Eidah says, "B'tafka the b'yeshem arba osir." No, if it's 4 tvachim, it's osir. She is zimni leikas, so I mean that's filu chutz layam, because Sundays there's not going to be 10 of over the 10 tvachim from the boat above the sea, and therefore the high nesa karmelis, and then the nesa would be a karmelis, and metaltim karmelis shusayachin, and you take from the karmelis, which is the board, into the ship, which is the shusayachin. But the Gilin Hashas, which we started before, says a different reason. He says that it has to be less than 4 tvachim. Besides the streets, I'm going to read the Gilin Hashas. Yerushalmi he located have a karmelis because it was dalit. It would be a karmelis also. So tzruachav mimenu layam. You wouldn't be allowed to do tzruachim from it to the sea. Came out of the yamakifa because the sea is not surrounding all sides. Because on one side there's the boat, and we always say you can go from one karmelis to another karmelis if it's it's something which is surrounded by water on all sides, and is only surrounded on 3 sides. The local Korban Eidah, the local chashash tiltum the karmelis shus yachid. Not because the chashash are carrying from the karmelis into the shus yachid of the boat. No, it's from karmelis to karmelis, from the daf to the sea. So therefore, you need to be a makom tour. You need to be a makom tour, not should be 4. And in order to be a makom tour, it has to be less than 4 by 4 tvachim. So it doesn't have the shear of rishus, which would be the karmelis. And then if it's less than 4 tvachim, you can do whatever you want from. Presumably, you're using it as a place to throw your sewage or to attend to your needs into the sea. Right, Mona, that's not good enough, right? Mona said, "Ilu amateva b'chusa yos." He said, "An open box." That would be appropriate. And a box is, even normally we say mechitza tluya is not a mechitza, but here you have an open box over the water, then you can do your tzrachim through the open box. Throw out the sewage, attend to your needs through the open box, but not just sit on a board. That's not good enough. Rabbi Avun said, if you want to make an eitzah for your boat, motzi neser, chutz l'shlosha. You take a board and you take it outside of 3 tvachim. Now, why it's outside 3 tvachim, we'll see in a minute. But and here it says she'ein bo rochav arba, but the mefarshim, I forgot who changed it to yesh bo rochav arba, the Pnei Moshe, and but roetz mechitzas kilo olos. So it looks like this case, which is a case in the Bavli. Obviously, this is from the Perish Guy in the Bavli. It's like this. It's as if there are walls here, right? And it doesn't have to be an actual box. It can just be the plank like that with the hole in the middle. And that's for their makel on this, and this considered to be sufficiently as if it's mechitzos. Look at the imaginary mechitzos there, and that's what makes it okay. So the Rabbi Abraham said, why more than 3 away from the boat? Because it's if it's within 3 tvachim of the wall, it's of the sfina. It's like it's the boat. And it's like you're taking directly from the boat into the sea. So therefore, we made you distance it more than 3 tvachim away. Moshe explains that up to 3 tvachim. Which is adjacent to the walls of the boat. It's like the mechitza itself. The mean lavud. We say lavud. So it's like the boat of the ship, the wall of the ship itself. Came time Sfina Layam, so you take him from the Sfina to the sea, Lehetio, which is also. And if it's 4x4, like the Shas said, and it's also you could add like the Shas is perhaps even more pashut, because if it's 4x4 within 3 tefachim of the boat, so then it's you're taking from Carmelis to Carmelis, and they weren't making that situation. Anyway, Hilchot Matzil Chutz Shlosh, they have taken more than 3 tefachim away. Rabbi Yitzchak, the Rabbi Lazar, in fact, Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Shimi, to have a parish. Then when he was going out to the to see parish Miriam Abasha, Ma'abalei, to make for himself a salpachos, to make in fact a basket which had a hole in it, similar to what the Teva B'chusa is, to make an action, not just rely on the hole in the board, but to actually make that mechitza tluya a situation. Okay, halacha vav hazorek, somebody who does something, but niskar, remembers the Shabbos that shlotetzim yodo, the science says here, v'shasi dan isol achash yasin miyodo. Chen girsa chen nira midibra meforshim. So when it's in his hand, it doesn't. What do you mean? Didn't do anything yet, but it means after it left his hand, and therefore now he was showing him when he threw it, but now he's no longer shogeg. So you remember the Shabbos. That's or in the case of Kolta Acher, somebody else caught it, which wasn't his plan, or Kolta Kelev, or a dog caught it, which wasn't his plan, or Shnifsa got burnt up in the middle, potter. He's potter from a korban because he didn't do the full malacha in the state of shogeg. Zorak lasos chabura ben ba'adam ben b'be'ema, threw it in order to make a chabura wound, whether a human being or an animal. When this guy shows us chabura and remembered before he made chabura, he's potter. And Zeh Klaus, general principle of the Mishnah. They have to begin with the shogeg and end with the shogeg. Chilas and shkogon, v'soif and zodom. If they began with shogeg and ended zodom, knowing there was Shabbos or it's aser. Chilas and zodom, v'soif and shkogon, vice versa. Pturin. Chilas and v'soif and shkogon, they have to do the entire malacha according to their plan and all b'shogeg. Okay, and that's it for today. Quite a long day.